Hello, my name is Tammy Beasley. I'm a registered dietitian and specialist in sports nutrition, and I am privileged to be here today to share with you as parents what to do to fuel your baseball or softball player. I'm gearing this presentation to 9 and 12-year-olds who are involved in Little League programs, and having been there since my young boys started at 4 years of age. They are now in high school, so I have many, many years on the field, knowing what the parent deals with the timing of the fuel. What do my kids need? The game is delayed. We have a double header. Is there enough fluid available? What about the concessions? What are the options there? Is this good for my child? I want to begin with the basics. I think sports nutrition, across the board, whatever age you are, we have to start with the core nutrition values that have to be put into place. Now, I am gearing this presentation really to say the day before the game and the game day itself. But these principles really could be put into practice every day of the week, and I would encourage you to do so. Let's start with what Mom always said: eat breakfast. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the things we're going to address in the eating breakfast question. Meal timing. We're going to look at also, once breakfast happens, what about from that point forward? Snacks between the innings or the games. And then your quality of fuel choices. It makes a really big difference, and that's where you may need to be your own concession stand for your child, because a lot of times the concession stand does not offer the greatest quality that would be usable energy for your child, especially for their muscles when they need them. And then we're going to look in detail at fluids and more fluids, and address special considerations for weather conditions and the number of games played, and also the position played, because that determines the amount of energy and fluid that your child may need depending on the position. So let's get going. Okay, the most important meal. We know Mom says it, I say it, but why? Our children, our metabolisms, basically don't start running till we turn the key in the ignition. And to do that, that is the breakfast meal. Since our fuel tank holds only about 4 hours of fuel at any one time, whatever we've had the night before, no matter how large that meal may have been, it's gone the next morning. So your child wakes up with an empty fuel tank. A lot of times you're going to have an early morning game, so you're going to have to plan ahead for this. But breakfast to me is the biggest investment in your child's performance, whether that game is 8 a.m. or whether it's 6 p.m. at night. It is that critical. Our metabolism runs like a triangle. We're built to burn the most calories in the very beginning of the day, and it tapers through the rest of the day till about 5 or so, and then your metabolism begins slowing down to get ready for bed. And metabolism is really how well your body uses the fuel and fluid that you give it. But a lot of times what happens, especially in this age group and adults, is we eat like this. So metabolism wants to run like a triangle, but we're eating like an upside down triangle. So we're giving the least amount of fuel when our body needs it the most. Not only for energy for our muscles, but for our brain. Your child is out there and he's got to think quick when that ball is hit and comes right to second base and he's playing that position. He's got to be fast on his feet when he's in the outfield and be able to quickly be able to read where the direction of the ball is going. The pitcher, of course, mental concentration. The catcher can be a dangerous position if you're not concentrating. So fuel in the morning is one of the best investments for your brain, to have the fuel and energy it needs to concentrate and to think clearly. So when I recommend within an hour of rising, of getting up, within an hour of your child getting up for the day, having breakfast. Now I'm going to give you some alternatives if, again, it's a very early morning game, and I understand that that can be a difficult scenario to try to get in a really good breakfast. So I've got some options for you there, but ideally within an hour of getting up. It can be immediate, but no longer than an hour. And what should breakfast be? Should be lean proteins, whole grains, fruits, ideally. And if you look at this, I'm going to concentrate on proteins and grains together. Why do I do that? Because protein gives fuel to build muscle, to replace the muscle that's broken down during play. Whole grains, fruits, gives the energy. Now, you put the two together, that's where the magic begins. Because you've got energy from the carbohydrate, preferably the more whole grain the better, from fruits, combined with protein, which can come from dairy products, it can come from animal protein, and we're going to give some examples in just a minute. You put those together, the protein helps the energy from the carbohydrates and from the fruit and the grain last twice as long. So that is investing in power play for your child. Going to have to get savvy at this. So examples of power breakfasts. I know this is probably one of the biggest questions I get from a parent. Okay, I know we should eat breakfast, but what's a good breakfast? Again, it depends on the amount of time you have. I'll try to give you some quicker options, some that don't take a lot of preparation. But you can't get better than scrambled eggs with a lower fat, reduced fat cheese is what I prefer, but basically a cheese, not a fat-free cheese. You're looking at melted plastic when we're talking the fat-free category. So eggs with 2% cheese on a whole wheat piece of toast, several pieces of toast, or a bagel with fresh fruit, perfect combination. A couple of things about fruit. You do want to limit 100% fruit juice. The reason is it's super concentrated. They've taken about 4 oranges to make a small cup of orange juice. So it's a lot of concentration for the body, and because the manufacturer has already put it into a liquid form, the body doesn't have as much work to do. So it's going to give a really quick rise in blood sugar. So you want to limit that. But another thing is it also can be a little rough on the stomach to have that much sugar concentrated coming in at one time, especially if your child is a little nervous. If they're the starting pitcher, or if they know that they're playing a different position today, or they are the first batter or the cleanup batter, they're going to be a little nervous. And you want to make sure that their gut doesn't have anything to aggravate the nerves that are already there. Another example that's a little bit faster, bagel with peanut butter. Cannot get better than that. Add apple slices and you are good to go. That is something you can pack very quickly, put in the car, jump in, drive the 45 minutes to the ball field, whatever. It's a very easy, packable breakfast. One of my favorites, I don't know if your kids will love it as much as I love it, but oatmeal with honey and nuts, strawberries, and certainly any other fresh fruit would work just as fine. So I think these are probably the top 3 that most athletes do really, really well with, especially with the energy it provides, the protein combination to sustain that energy longer, and to give the gut something that it can digest fairly easily without a lot of issues. Fast food options. Second biggest question. Okay, we're on the run. My child, I couldn't get him out of bed, couldn't get him dressed, we can't find the socks. I've been there. So you jump in the car, you've missed breakfast. What do? So these are not all inclusive, but I did want to give you a couple of my favorite, most healthy choices. McDonald's Egg McMuffin, it's actually 30% fat. It is considered one of the lower fat, would meet the American Heart Association guidelines. Add apple dippers, low fat milk or juice, you're good to go. Couple other options, scrambled egg, pancakes, a little messy in the car, wouldn't recommend it. Low fat milk or juice with that. Now, I get some questions about low fat milk. What about milk on a stomach before a game? And a lot of coaches will discourage their players from drinking milk. I personally feel like I've never had any young athlete who was a milk drinker to have any difficulty handling that milk. It's a great protein source. It has natural carbohydrates too, natural sodium, natural potassium, the electrolytes that your child is going to sweat out. So I feel that milk can be very appropriate if your child, again, tends to have a nervous stomach, or if it's a very, very hot day, then I would probably skip the milk in that occasion. But otherwise, I think you would be fine with that. Egg burrito, yogurt fruit parfait is another example. McDonald's has just come out with oatmeal. So they have my favorite with apples, fruit, and again, that low-fat milk to add that protein balance.